Jungle Juice is a new webtoon that caught my eye with its flashy art and fascinating character designs that merge humans with insects and other arthropods. The action is very exhilarating, and the story hooks you with each episode ending making you curious or desperate for what will happen next. But what is it about? It's about a young man named Su-chan who accidentally inhaled the DNA of a dragonfly after he killed it with a newfangled pesticide called Jungle Juice. The next morning, he wakes up with dragonfly wings growing out of his back and striking green eyes. Su-chan understandably wants to hide his wings from his peers for fear of what they will think, and eventually becomes the most popular guy in his college. But when Su-chan is on a date with his new girlfriend Mihui, a psychopath with arms that resemble that of a praying mantis goes on a killing spree in their theater room looking for his natural prey, the dragonfly. To save Mihui's life, Su-chan reveals his wings to the world. Unfortunately, his peers don't react very well, and worst of all, Mihui is now terrified of Su-chan and calls him a monster. Su-chan feels as if he has lost everything and is about to end it all when a young woman named Hui-jin suddenly interferes. Removing her cap, she reveals a pair of antennae growing out of her head. She offers Su-chan another chance at life in a place called Nest, where many other people like him exist. Okay, but what is this story really about? Well, it's a little too soon to say for sure, since the story is just getting started. And while I'm not going to talk about the Fast Pass episodes to avoid major spoilers, I will say that this is the first time a series on Webtoon has ever compelled me to purchase every single one of the currently scheduled episodes instead of waiting for them to release. So I guess I can vouch for it being pretty entertaining and interesting. Or maybe I just have weird tastes and am a bit impulsive, who knows. But I think one of the reasons I was compelled to read as much as I could was because the story and characters made me think a lot about something I want to talk about today, even if I don't quite understand it or have the words to fully express it. This is why I draw comics instead of writing novels, y'all. Words. Oof. My thoughts might be best summed up in this question. What defines being human? Is it our flaws? Is it being good deep down, or bad? Maybe a combination of both? Is it our souls, or our intellect? Our emotions? While I have some personal beliefs about this, I'm curious as to how you would define it. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you'd like. But I think Jungle Juice explores this question in some interesting ways in the story so far. But let's talk about Su-chan. Su-chan really fascinates me as a character. He is so morally righteous in his actions and cares very deeply about doing the right thing, even when it costs him dearly. And yet, deep down, he despises his new physical features and instincts, and desperately wants to get rid of them so that he can regain his former high social status. Because to him, that's what it means to become human again. But don't these two traits seem to contradict each other? One being very moral, and the other being very superficial? However, the reason Su-chan clung to his popularity so tightly before wasn't really because of arrogance or narcissism. He had grown up in a life marked by poverty, loss, and solitude, and one day he decided he had had enough. He changed his meek attitude into confidence, and made himself stand out in order to win friends and admirers, all while never getting too close to anyone to avoid revealing his secret. Popularity and status was not something that Su-chan took lightly or for granted. It was his way of surviving, and he had worked his tail off to achieve this lofty position. Su-chan feels like he is a monster because of the way Mihui now sees him, and flinches whenever someone recognizes how he's improving in his new physical abilities. And yet, when viewing other insect humans, he clearly seems to believe that what makes someone truly human is what's on the inside. It's almost as if he can't quite believe that about himself. I wonder if Su-chan's view of humanity or being humane is subconsciously a bit superficial and ingrained into him by society, but I'm not completely sure yet, as we likely still have a lot to learn about this character. The story also kind of explores the idea of whether someone is still human or not if they become so absorbed in their new buggy instincts that they no longer view other lives as anything more than different levels of prey. These few people that the story explores this idea with still have their human intellect, but seem to have lost something much more important. Meanwhile, Su-chan in particular, although Hui-jin is also very strong in this, is bursting with the qualities that seem to be what really epitomizes the story's idea of humanity. Empathy, emotions, and a powerful, undeniable sense of justice, or a conscience. He has a soul. But ironically, it's these very traits that always seem to be what unlocks the true nature of his insect power. Humans are really complicated, aren't they? And so is this story to some degree, but in a way that I find really interesting. But anyway, if any of this is really interesting to you too, you can go ahead and check out Jungle Juice on Webtoon for yourself if you like. It's free. Webtoons are usually free, except for Fast Pass, which I totally spent a little money on reading this webcomic. And as always, thanks for listening to my thoughts. Whoever you are awesome. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.